Good morning, folks. Hope you all had a great holiday weekend. Glad you could join us. Make sure you click that share button. Get this out to your group. Sidrahar, it's early in San Francisco, dude. It's like 7:30. So good for you for already being on. Everybody, again, hope you had a great holiday break. And with that, let's jump in and get started. So good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 37th episode of FinTech Insider, the Breakfast Show US. I'm Sam Maule, 11FS Managing Director, North America. I'll be your host for the morning show. Do let us know where you're watching from, because we'd love to know where in the world you are right now. And we love the international audience for this. Let us know where you're based. Make sure you share the stream. Hit that like button and subscribe to 11FS on LinkedIn so you never miss a show. Also, if you haven't read our latest research yet, the link is in the post here, but it's really fantastic. It's about the needs of SMB owners in the U.S. and how financial institutions can make propositions to better serve them. Head to bit.ly/DIGITASMB or click the link in the post. And with that, let's kick off first with a couple of news stories from the past 24 hours that caught my own attention, and it should have yours. So first, Reuters reports data from the Small Business Administration shows net weekly PPP lending has actually been negative since mid-May, as fewer firms have applied for loans. Some borrowers have actually returned funds. All told, the SBA says it's approved $512.2 billion in PPP loans as of May 21st. That's nearly $150 billion less than the $660 billion allocated to the program, which was designed to keep Americans on company payrolls and off unemployment assistance. So in other words, we still have work to do, folks. Again, let's give Congress a pass here. They're doing this on the fly, between them and the Fed, doing everything they can to stabilize the economy. So I get it, right? It's a work in progress. Next story, FinExtra. Excuse me. They have an article noting UBS is building a fintech venture fund to invest hundreds of millions of dollars in startups and later stage firms capable of deepening client engagement, providing alternative financing platforms, and improving the underlying operations of the bank. The Swiss bank has already started screening prospects and is planning to make investments between 10 million and 20 million in dozens of companies. So welcome to a growing group of banks that are making this move. You go, UBS. And finally, the Financial Post has a great story on Shopify. Man, if you haven't been paying attention to Shopify, I don't know what you should be. That's all I'll flat out say. They interviewed Shopify founder Tobias Lütke, who said this about his $83 billion company he's built. "We are the rebel army to Amazon's web empire." So there's your Star Wars reference for the day. This pandemic has sent Shopify shares soaring 60% since the beginning of March, based on its business model of helping 1 million companies in more than 175 countries to run online stores. So with that, I'm going to segue into introducing our guest, who also helps a ton of businesses here. Today, we're happy to be joined by Zohar Goshen. He's the CEO of Metechi. Did I say that right?
Metechi.
Metechi. Got to get the chi in there. On today's show, we'll be talking about how the people over at Metechi are working to introduce the AI-based digital world to re-envision participant financing. And Zohar, great to have you on. You are doing this out of your home in New York, right?
Yes.
I bet you are tired of the lockdown.
70 days in a lockdown.
Congratulations. You've beat me. Florida has eased up quite a bit. But the impact has been a lot different here. Zohar, one thing I want to start with, which is a little bit different than we normally do, and it's because I always like doing a little bit of research on our guests, and I was watching you do a speech on YouTube, which, by the way, you did a good job on. Anytime you're at a college and a professor gets up to do a speech or accept an award, you're like, please don't go for an hour. And you went 7 minutes and 39 seconds, including your introduction. So, well, good job on that. So besides being the CEO of your company, you're also a professor of transactional law at Columbia Law School. Decent school, everybody. And during your acceptance speech at the university for the Willis L.M. Reese Prize for Excellence in Teaching, you shared a story about your mother checking your homework. Can you give us a brief synopsis of that?
Yeah, so my parents came from Yemen to Israel in 1949. And we were a very poor family, and one thing that I remember growing up is my mom checking the homework. We did it right, and we were so afraid of her coming from work, checking the homework, and we all made sure that everything is perfect. And it took several years, probably in my 5th grade or so, I noticed that she's holding the notebook backwards. So I said, "You don't know how to read?" And she was very calm. And she said, "Yes, I don't know how to read, but now you know how to read, and you will teach me how to read." And we taught her how to read, and before she died, she knew how to read.
I love that story because my mom was kind of my hero too, growing up and taking care of me. And that influence she's had on you because besides being, like I said, the CEO of your company, you also teach law. You've got a very unique background, by the way. So correct me if I'm wrong here. You're professor of law at Columbia. You're a former chairman of Israel's SEC.
Yes.
Former director of Israel's Discount Bank.
Yeah.
So why in the world did you want to do a startup?
I believe that, the startup world is a place where you can bring together your academic knowledge, your regulatory experience, your experience in other capacities in the finance world. So I believe that Metechi sort of glues together in a nice way all the different experiences I had in life and knowledge I can bring to this project.
Well, I mean, everything I'm reading, everything I'm seeing, the concept of what the company does and the way that you're growing has been incredible. Can you talk a little bit about what exactly Metechi does?
So Metechi is a marketplace for commercial lenders. This is a place where you can buy, sell, syndicate a loan, commercial loan. It can be either the whole loan, it can be part of the loan, it can be a portfolio of loans, and in any asset type. It can be commercial real estate, it can be commercial and industrial loans, it can be non-performing loans, distressed debt, anything that you want. But the trade is among and between institutional investors.
Where did the idea come from, though? Do you remember where you were at? What was kind of the kicker for this?
So when you are in this world, what you see that basically take a typical commercial lender, let's say a bank. Okay, the bank, medium-sized bank, let's say $10 billion in assets. That bank will need to cooperate with the universe of 10,000, 15,000 other lenders. They need to cooperate for several reasons. One, sometimes the loan is too big. They need to syndicate. They need other banks to come together. Two, sometimes they need to diversify the risk because they don't want to be concentrated on specific area or specific client too much. Sometimes the client would need type of a loan that the bank does not give, like a mezzanine loan or a B-piece loan, what they call, and you need to bring non-lender to the table. And there are regulatory constraints as to how your portfolio look like. And many banks, because they are $10 billion bank, would hit those regulatory constraints very frequently. And then they would need to reallocate their portfolio, and someone else will need to buy those assets. So today, the contact with this huge universe is based on relationship. And when you make it based on relationship, you create economies of scale. And not surprisingly, the top 30 banks control the syndication market. They have syndication desk. They can pay $700,000, $800,000 for a syndication person. They have all those Rolodex. They keep the names on Salesforce or Excel, depending on the bank. They use combination of platform to execute, and they are very efficient, and they basically control this market. So what it does, it creates first a problem for the mid-sized banks and the smaller banks that are losing clients and activity to the bigger banks. And it also creates a problem in access to the lenders themselves, because the top 30 banks would divide the universe into tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, right, and so forth. So if you are BlackRock, you are tier 1, every day you get a phone call. If you manage just $30 billion, you are maybe tier 3 or tier 4, you might get a phone call every 6 months. So this universe as well is also looking for deal flow, and they have to rely on brokers and intermediaries. So the access is not equal, and it's all based on relationship. And what Metechi is doing is basically saying, we will provide liquidity to non-liquid assets, the loans, and we'll do it on an equal footing. We'll bring the lenders to be part of our marketplace. We offer the bank or any other seller plug and play syndication desk. Basically, you don't have to have syndication desk. You just go to Metechi, and this is your syndication desk. So the idea is that once you would upload the deal, we know what the deal, then we have an algorithm that will look through the marketplace and say, okay, these 30 lenders fit this deal. Yeah. And then we'll match you together and we'll put you into direct connection to execute on our platform. That's the idea of Metechi, the idea that you will create liquidity for non-liquid assets on equal footing for the universe that is trying to compete with the top 30 banks.
And right now, only in the US, correct?
Yes. Now we focus on the US alone, try building the capacity, and then we anticipate that in a few years we will go to Europe and other places.
Yeah, the concept of a small number of banks dominating the market is not unique to the US. Go to Canada.
Yeah.
You can stand on one spot in Toronto and literally reach out to all 5 banks. Just take your hands and go like this, and you'll hit all of them. But it's the same, and I don't care. Go to the UK, go throughout Europe, like you said. That's a consistent theme that you'll see. One of the things that really impressed me about the company, by the way, is when you go out to go to your website and you look at the team that you've built. I mean, all of them are all-stars, every single one of them. How did you go about attracting that type of talent?
No, it was hard at the beginning.
Yeah.
I have to say we were not. There is a culture difference between being an Israeli and going through an interview of an American person. It's not always the same, and it takes time for you to understand the differences in mentality, the differences in what they answer, and they are honest, but a sentence when you hear it in Hebrew will mean one thing, when you hear it in English will mean completely different thing. So it was a process that took us a while, but we understood that if you want to be successful, you have to have the A team. You cannot do it halfway. It will never work. So we did it in a very careful way. It took us time, almost a year, to get to the place in which we felt comfortable with the team that we have, knowing that we have the team that we can run forward and achieve our goals.
So take this as a compliment, all right? In case I get it wrong, but you co-founded this with Karen, right? I said her name correctly. So she's gonna love me. Is Karen your daughter or your wife? See, that's me kissing up.
Karen is my wife.
And she acts as what, the COO, I believe?
Yes, she's the CEO, and we together co-founded the company.
Okay.
We started in 2017, both of us sitting and building the system on PowerPoint, making all the slides. There is this software called re-envision, and this software it's like PowerPoint, but if you click on a specific place on the page, it will take you to a different pages, okay? So that it can behave as if you have a real platform without the programming behind it. It's just how it would look like to the user. We worked for like 3-4 months just designing that system and the way it would look like and how it will work, so that we will have a model that we can show investors and go and raise money with that.
So please solve this for me. What's the secret of working with your spouse? Because I work from home and my spouse wants to kill me every day. If we were in business together, I can't imagine how well that would work.
Well, let me say that at the beginning, it was very hard. And indeed, we each wanted to kill each other when we were working together, because different personalities come about at work than at home.
True.
You don't behave the same way at home, the same way you behave at work.
Yep.
And the two personalities that are perfect at home would clash when they are at work. So it took time and a lot of discussions and a lot of understanding about how to reduce the friction and how to operate in a way that will bring harmony among us and between us and the team. And I'm very happy that eventually we figured that out, and now the system works very, very calmly and efficiently. And I don't want to kill her.
we'll bring her on another podcast. We'll get her side.
Yeah, okay. I hope she's at the same place.
She was great. She was promoting this on LinkedIn, so obviously she's all in. I like what you said though, because when you think about it, we're all kind of in this situation where so many of us are working from home now, right? Where both spouses are working, and you've got these, you're both fighting for bandwidth. You're fighting for the router, right? Bandwidth speed for phone calls while balancing taking care of kids. I know you have you have a son. So all of that comes into play, but I know in any startup, understanding what your role is and your responsibilities and what you're focused on and being hyper focused in that is advice I'd offer anybody, by the way. I don't care if it's my spouse, or one of my managing partners, or even, one of my programmers or developers. Understanding really where you focus in on, being able to participate across the piece, but really having a defined responsibility that you can hone in on does really help. And like I said, you got a fantastic team. I watched an interview with Annalise Osborne earlier today from your team, and talking, and it's really across the piece. What I like about your company is every single one of your folks that are spokespeople for you really do understand the product and are able to, because it can be a tough concept to boil down to like a 30-second pitch,
Yeah.
And I think you do it well. And a good question came in. I told you Siddharhar would have a good question. Siddharhar asked, are both buyers and sellers banks and FIs, or do you attract wealthy individual investors as well?
So on the marketplace, we opened up around July 2019.
Okay.
And with the coronavirus effect, we are about 300 participants. About half of them banks. The other half are insurance companies, pension funds, debt funds, private equity, family offices. Managing, you will have the ranges between $200 million asset under management to more than 100 billion. So these are the players on the marketplace, buyers and sellers.
Now the family office side's interesting to me. We've had, or I think we're going to have in some upcoming shows, some folks that run different family offices around that side. And I could definitely see that. For some reason, I hadn't, that thought process hadn't kicked into my mind for that to be part of your client base.
Yeah. So the family offices, some of them would invest in very low risk. So they will be interested in the secured loans on the commercial real estate. And some of them are interested in a higher risk, so they would invest in the mezzanine pieces. And now this crisis brings about the anticipation that there's going to be a surge in non-performing loans. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of distressed debt and non-performing loans on the balance sheet of the banks, and they will have to sell them. So what we did, we understood that the existing platform that were used in the crisis of 2008 to allow the selling and buying of these loans, they were charging 5%, and they take full control of the process. So we made a change to our platform, and we introduced new features that would allow for confidential, competitive bidding on the platform with complete control of the seller. So there is no kickbacks, no selling to your friends. The seller has complete control to whom they want to sell the non-performing loan. And because we have this great advantage of technology, we will charge just 1% for that. So this is something that the crisis brought about, our entry to this market. Now, potential buyers for this type of loans are also the family offices. They are looking for this type of loans together with the debt funds that specialize in distressed debt. As we have seen the stories that came out just a week ago on the Wall Street Journal, new funds are raising about $300 billion to invest in non-performing loans and distressed debt.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting in the upcoming months. I was just talking to my wife about this. We're in that cycle, right? We're now June is coming up, so it'll be really the third month of, for example, rent payments, loan payments, auto payments, mortgages, you take your pick across the piece, and you roughly have, 38.5 million Americans that are unemployed. You have small businesses that have just been, the impact of small businesses has been incredible. I mean, I just never have seen an event at this scale right now,
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
The Federal Reserve and the regulators of the banks allow them to provide 3 months forbearance for their borrowers.
Yeah.
What this means that they can make concessions on payments of interest and principal to their borrowers without the need to reclassify the loan as a non-performing loan. Mm. So this is the way to keep it calm until the end of June. Yeah. But after that moment, then the banks will have to make a decision. What am I going to do with my borrowers? If this is a loan that I give to a hotel, and we anticipate that the hospitality industry, it will take 4 years to come back to where they were before the crisis. And if this is retail, what type of retail? If this is a grocery shop, that's fine. But if it's a restaurant, it will take for a very long time until they will get back up and running. So the banks will have to decide which of the loans they give forbearance on their own and try to work with the borrowers and try to get them out of this crisis, and which they will not be able to do it and keep it on their balance sheet, and they will have to sell it to someone else to do the process instead of them. So our estimate that the veterans, the CEO of the banks who are veterans of 2008, they already understand the process, that the longer you wait, the deeper the discount you will have to accept.
Yeah.
And we estimate that these managers will clear their balance sheet by Q4 and start 2021 with a clean slate.
Wow. I love this question from Bianca with 11FS. We love Bianca. She wants to know where the name came from. What's the story behind the name?
So Metechi means in ancient Greek participation, which is basically what we are doing. We're doing participation in loans. So we were looking for names that would have some meaning and that the site will not be taken. You wouldn't believe any name you can imagine, even if you just simply mistype something. If you put at the end .com, there is someone who already owned that domain.
Yeah.
So we were looking for something that the domain is not taken. So we found ourselves moving from English to ancient Greek, and then Karen came up with this name, which we thought is right to the point. The problem is that it is hard for our customers to pronounce. They are divided between Metechi and Metechi. Either way, it's a conversation piece.
Yeah. I'd say the same thing all the time. My last name is Maule. I've been called Maule, Maule. You know what? I don't care as long as you're talking to me. I really don't care. You know what I mean? You can call me whatever you want. Zohar actually came up with a tagline. Do you think this is accurate for the company? He said the eBay of commercial loans, but with richer participants.
It could work. It could work. In my head, I used to say the Airbnb of commercial loans.
Yeah.
Now eBay is in a big problem. No one wants to compare themselves with the Airbnb. Yeah. But the idea is that Airbnb gives you control over the sale process. You have an apartment. They give you a very easy way to offer your apartment. They don't care where the apartment is, luxury or simple in the suburbs or in the city. And then they bring tourists to you, and then you can negotiate directly and close the deal, and they get the fee. Okay, so the same way, from our perspective, we give the tools to the seller. The seller can upload a loan. It doesn't matter what type of a loan that they want to sell, any type of a loan. And then the algorithm will search the marketplace and bring the appropriate buyers for that loan and allow them direct negotiation and direct execution on the platform.
So I'm going to combine two questions here from Zohar and Amanda Moore. Hey, Amanda. And Amanda, by the way, thanks for the shout out for 11FS on LinkedIn this week, and that was great. So there's a combination of questions. So two-part question. What role does AI play in the evaluation of your deal and finding appropriate counterparties? You touched on that a little bit, but if you could go a step deeper. And then secondly, how's the competition reacted since you launched your platform?
So the AI and deep learning and all this stuff, we have the abilities to use it, but with 300 participants, it is useless. Okay? I don't want to create the impression that we run deep learning on 300 participants. Okay? So we are building the system that will be ready for 10,000 participants. Okay? So and then it's going to be much more effective, and the learning process is going to be more valuable. At this stage, it is mostly a rule-based match. Okay? So we know what the investors. At 300, you almost know your participants by name.
Yeah. Okay, which is a good thing too, by the way.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So, but the algorithm that runs is basically a rule-based. It's a rule-based algorithm, more like a dating service, than through AI. Okay.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, but we build the system that will be ready to the moment that we will grow up and get scale to the 10,000 participants, and then the AI will do that. Sorry, I forgot the second question.
Amanda was asking about the market. How have your competition reacted since launching the platform? Because I mean, there is some competition out there for this, obviously.
So there are, in terms of competition, there are different variation of competition.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So one type of competition is companies that offer the technology, because we offer A to Z execution, plug and play syndication desk. You have there the data room, you have the communication, you have the teamwork features, you have the reporting, everything that you need, the CRM, everything in one platform. You don't have to combine platforms. Okay, so that's the competition. There is one type of competition. Another type of competition is competition that is offering access to marketplace, but what they do, they deal source and they due diligence the deals.
Right.
Okay. So in this regard, we don't do that. We don't deal source and we don't due diligence the deals. We want to supply just technology and a marketplace, but the seller needs to do everything. If the seller is a bank, then the bank has the relationship with the client. The bank already did the due diligence, and then the buyers can trust the due diligence of the bank. We are not in the middle in any way. We are not broker. We are not advisors. We are not trying. We just supply the technology that allows one party to get access and to be matched with potential buyers and close the deal. So in terms of competition, our model is different than what exists there, even though you can think about competition hitting different aspects of our business model. Our goal is to expand on our model in the way that now the deal is being triggered by the seller. When the deal comes up, we look for the buyers, and second step would be the deal to be triggered by the buyers, meaning the demand side will trigger the deal. A bank can go up or a pension fund or whatever and say, I'm looking for this type of a loan in this geography. Okay? And then the algorithm will go the other way and look for potential sellers and match the potential sellers with the buyers. Okay? So we focus on the marketplace and the matching between buyers and sellers, both direction. We now have just one direction. Hopefully we'll in a few months we'll have the other direction working as well.
So when we started this interview, I was talking about your acceptance speech at Columbia for an excellence in teaching award that you had gotten. And you mentioned this in the speech, and it's kind of my last question here. You said, teaching is my passion. Do you inherit that from your relationship with your mother, or is this just something throughout your life you've just embraced and loved?
This is something I think I got from being exposed to great teachers in my career.
Good for you.
There were so many teachers when I looked on them and I said, oh my God, I want to be like this person.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I want to be able to explain a complex topic the same way this person just explained. The aha moment that I felt in my eyes and it was so rewarding for me as a student. And I said, I want to be there. I want to be able to take a complex topic and simplify it for a student and engage them in a way that even many years after they forgot about me, they will not forget about that moment that they understood something very, very hard. That's what I was trying to do.
It's great teachers are artists. It's an art form. Thank you for being one. Folks, we've run out of time. I told you, it flies by. Thanks for joining so hard. Where can people find more about you and especially the company Metechi?
Metechi.com. They can find everything that they need about the company and how to reach us. Thank you so much.
No, it's been fun. Folks, thanks for joining today. Tomorrow, I'm going to be joined by Adam Hughes from Amount. Again, if you know someone who'd be great to come on the show, don't hesitate to reach out to me, Sam Maule at 11fs.com, or you can hit me up on Twitter at Sam Maule, or just email us at breakfastshow@11fs.com. Everybody, thanks for joining today. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you so much.